Welcome to another one of my geometry lessons. This lesson today is on translations or slides. Materials need to be some graph paper, note paper, ruler, pencils. What we'll be doing in this lesson is learning how to translate or slide an image over a coordinate plane. Imagine looking at an image drawn on a coordinate plane and placing your fingers on it and moving it up or down or left and right. If you did this without rotating or flipping the image, that is a slide. And the way that we carry out these translations is very easily by following the simple rules about the x and y values. If all the x values of an image are increased by a number, the image moves to the right. If all the x values of an image are decreased by a number, the image moves to the left. If all y values of an image are increased by a number, the image moves up. If all the y values of an image are decreased by a number, the image moves down. The notation for these translations might look like the examples below, where they have the x comma y value with the arrow moving towards, in this example, x plus 3 comma y plus 5. This is telling you to add 3 to all the x values of your image and to add 5 to all the y values of your image. In this example, your image would move up to the right, up and to the right. And it would look like this. This is an example in the graph. We have the x plus 3 and the y plus 5. And I have a triangle in the quadrant 4, which I'm just going to highlight. And this translation or slide would look like moving to the right 3 units, 5 to its new location. And as it points out there, when you were sliding this on a piece of graph paper, you would have the original image and the translated image. You would have two. Excuse me. Now it's your turn to try. Graph these 3 points and then translate them as indicated. First point is A, 1 comma negative 1. B, 1 comma negative 4. C, 7 comma negative 4. Note that this triangle is in quadrant 4, and I'm going to ask you to translate it as we may move to the x plus 4 and y plus 8. And this new triangle should end up in quadrant number 1. And I've just changed into the graph mode here. I'm going to highlight the triangle that is drawn in quadrant 4, and we're going to move to the right 4 units, and then it's going to move up for 8 units on the y. It doesn't have to move the x first, you can move the y first. It just happens to be the order that I've done it in these examples. And that's it. That's all there is to it, folks. Now it's your turn. And this is where the new point. The translated points come out, are shown on the screen here. Now we're asking a different question here, though. What if you only had the points of an original image and the points of a translated image? Can you determine what the rule was for the translation if you weren't looking at it on a graph? For example, let's say we started with point A, negative 9 comma negative 5, and the translated point was A prime, negative 3 comma negative 7. What was the rule for this translation? What should we do to find out? Let's think about it for a moment. What would you do if you only had two numbers and you wanted to know how one changed from the other? Say you had an original number of 4 and a new number called 7, and you had to find out the rule for how 4 became 7. What would you do? Of course, you would take the new or translated number and subtract the original number from it. In this case, 7 minus the 4 equals 3. The answer positive 3 means the original number 4 was translated by a positive 3 to become a 7. And this is the same thing you would do to find out your point translations. Subtract the original points from the translated points to find the rule used. Our example above now looks like this. A prime, negative 3, comma, negative 7, minus the original point A, 9, negative 9, comma, negative 5. We do one value at a time. Let's start with the x value. We're going to subtract x from x. Negative 3 minus negative 9. What happens when we subtract a negative? The number becomes a positive. Negative 3 plus 9 equals 6. This means the x value was changed by positive 6. So the first part of our rule is solved. The xy becomes x plus 6. Now we're going to find out what the y is. We do the same thing for the y. Negative 7 minus minus 5 becomes negative 7 plus 5, which equals negative 2. And that is how we got the y value that was translated. Your problem is now done, and your answer should look like x comma y becomes x plus 6 comma y minus 2.